The nickname said it all. Conan, that ruggedly built barbarian of Hollywood fame who cut a swathe through enemy ranks. Gary Ayres did all that and plenty more over his 269 games with the Hawks. He was ruthless and relentless, a man who thrived on the physical aspects of the game, a defender who exploited the weakness of his opponents and fed from their deficits. He was the first man to win 2 Norm Smith medals as best player of field in the AFL Grand Final. Of the 8 Grand Finals he took part in, 5 would end with premierships, and he was an obvious choice as back pocket in the Hawks team of the century. In 1992, Ayres was made captain of the club he'd served with such distinction. 3 times an All-Australian, 4 times a Victorian representative, and winner of the club best and fairest in 1986. Ayres did it all, thriving on football's biggest stage. The famous haircut, the signature socks around the ankles, the glint in the eye, and the medals on Grand Final day. The man in a nutshell.
Come on, boys. Take your chances. Style of play. Hit up, manic pressure, conversion. Let's go.
You know, we've had one thing in mind the whole time I've been at the footy club, is that we can win grand finals, win finals, and no matter what we see each week, we don't think that we can be beaten in a sense, and we just keep raising our standards all the time. And you know, hopefully that gives something to our wonderful Port supporters, because they are amazing, and none more so last year when we did have to get ourselves busy in relation to membership. And certainly we want to be always there showing that we're competitive. We won't take second best, and obviously we love to keep beating the AFL Alliance and the AFL standalone. So to be here today and play off for the Autism Helper Cup is a wonderful initiative. Obviously from a community point of view, we as VFL standalone clubs certainly need to engage the community in a big way, and we've got to obviously give the community, I guess, a reason why they should support the clubs, and certainly these initiatives will go a long way to doing that. So thanks very much for being here as well.
Well, we're here today with Glenn Robertson, the Chief Executive Officer of the Port Melbourne Football Club, better known as the Borough. Welcome, and I think we've had a good day.
It's been a terrific day. We have to immerse ourselves in the community, and with programs like you have started, Autism Helper, and today's event has been a marvellous support to an identification for many of the requirements of autism. We hope to continue and to participate in that, and actually take this program into the Port Melbourne community.
Port Melbourne, all that Port Phillip area, there's a whole new demographics coming in.
And Port Melbourne is really, in many respects, quite a new suburb, because the changeover, even in the last 5 years, has been quite dramatic. So as a football club, we've got to immerse ourselves in that community. We've virtually got to sell ourselves again to a new bunch of people and families within the community. And look, we're doing that in a number of ways. We are really endeavouring to immerse ourselves in the community and to be known as a football club for our community work, as much as we think we're a pretty good footy team. But we'd like people to join our club, and part of our sell, if you like, to our members and our sponsors is largely about what we're doing in the community to ensure that we get the support. Perhaps if we're not as successful on the footy field, people will still be signing up and participating with our club because we are immersed in the community.
Well, you need to be congratulated on that approach.
I think, as we see in so many areas these days, the community in many respects requires groups like ours to take a leadership role, and we feel as the senior and, if you like, the most elite club in the Port Phillip area, we need to play a leadership role, and therefore that means greater responsibility than just the football team.
Sponsors believe it's not just about football, it's about helping the community. I would imagine they'll also embrace the club.
No, absolutely, and you know, we've already got a couple of examples. One, an institution you and I visited, the Port Phillip Specialist School in Port Melbourne. You know, they're going through a situation where they require renovation, and pleasingly, one of our sponsors has stepped up to the plate, Hutchinson's Builders, and are more than willing to ensure that the school itself is on the right track and are getting a level of support.
I'm pleased you mentioned that because you can talk about how we want to get involved in the community, but the mere fact you've now given an example how your supporters can be supportive.
It's going to be very, very satisfying to be able to introduce our sponsors and to allow our sponsors to play a bigger part in the community as they do with the football club.
Well, I'm looking forward to working with you over the next 12 months.
Likewise. It was a fantastic day today. I think this is just the start, Ron, and thank you very much for the work that you've put into this. I mean, Autism Helper is a fantastic concept, and let's drive it into the community and make sure that it really works for everybody.
Well, good luck for you 2018.
Thank you, mate. Thanks.